Coven, welcome back to the Heathen Hedge Witch. If you don't know me already, my name is Runa Strong, and this is my channel where I talk about all kinds of weird shit. You know, basically everything in that spiritual umbrella. So this episode, I want to clarify before we get into it. I'm not talking about like free offerings, because some of these things are still going to cost a little bit of money, or if not money, some energy. So keep that in mind, you know, but that's the whole thing, is that we give of ourselves so that they can give of themselves back to us, whether that be our ancestors, the deities, the spirits of the land, you name it. These are different things that you can give to any of them that will be more budget friendly for you. So without further rambling, let's just jump right into it and talk about some options. If you have any more options that I miss in this video, please feel free to leave them in the comments and share your tips with the Coven. Thanks for watching. Disclaimer! Editor Runa put this in the beginning of the video. This video is not really research based, it is more personal gnosis. And not just my own personal gnosis, I have talked to some friends about this and verified some things with them as well, but just something to keep in mind. This is definitely going in the path of a pagan series. So anyway, let's get into it. One thing that I see people do a lot, that I do a lot myself, is to pick up trash or to pick up litter. That is a great way to give back to the land itself, to Mother Earth, to any earth-based deities such as the Vanir, for example, or even the land spirit and the ancestors of the land. Not just your own personal ancestors, but the people who have worked this land for centuries, usually Native American folks, if you're in America anyways. But wherever you live, you can give to the ancestors of that land by maintaining the land itself and making sure that, you know, if you see like a styrofoam bin on the side of the road, you can just pick that up and recycle it and take care of it and make sure that the earth isn't getting any more sick than she already is. That's our job, you know, as humans, that's our job, to take care of her. So we need to do better about that, and that is something that doesn't really cost a whole lot, but your time and a little bit of energy for moving around and picking things up. But it is something that just about anybody can do, even in a wheelchair. You can like tie one to your thing, and if you got one of those pickup stick things that help you reach, you could at least do something, you know. That is something that a lot of spoonies can do if you are limited with your abilities. Depending on what those limitations are, you should be able to at least pick up some trash, you know, and make sure that you yourself don't litter, and call out your friends if you see them littering. That's also something that you can do. Not just picking up the trash, but helping avoid other people leaving trash around. That is a big thing too. Advocate for the land. One of my personal favorites, I got my notes down here, so if you see me looking down a lot, I'm just checking my notes to make sure I don't forget anything. One thing that I love is dancing or singing to my deities or ancestors, or playing one of their favorite songs on my little speaker and just rocking out with them. Carry On My Wayward Son is something that I will always rock out with my ancestors, because we just love that song. It's so good. So, you know, for you the song choice may be different, but that's something that you can definitely do. You know, for me, for the divine feminine, I shake that ass a lot with Freya. Like, we be twerking, we be doing the choreography, you know, the whole thing, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to embrace your own divine energy, but also to connect to theirs and to really share that experience with them. One thing that I do a lot to hype up my spells and to build energy for spells is to play music that correlates with what I'm doing, and dancing as I'm, you know, putting my stuff in and just really adding the money. If you don't know that song, you suck. No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot of different things that you can do to dance, you know, to involve music, whether it be with an offering or to boost your spell. I love utilizing music. You can also play an instrument. I put on Beyonce because she says girls run the world, and I want to play that for the goddesses. They love that. But you could also just play your drum or play a flute or whatever it is that you enjoy, and give them that sentimental energy too. They like that as well. They're softies like us. The gods are brave and bold and fierce, but they are also gentle, and they feel very deeply than we could ever imagine, and so those little sentimental things go over really well with them also. One thing that I've personally noticed as someone who works with exclusively war gods, not by choice, it's just what happened, but I am an Enneagram type 8, the Challenger, so it makes sense. But I do work a lot with war gods, and one thing that I've noticed is that war gods like war games. So something that I really enjoy doing, for example, is creating a character on Skyrim or something, and whenever I play as this character, I'm, you know, embracing the stealthy battle mage that Freya would enjoy, or I'm a tank going through with, you know, my two-handed weapons like Thor might do, you know. There's different things that you can do, different games that your deities might really just enjoy you connecting to that energy, whatever that means for you. Different deities obviously are going to like different things, but I just say war games because I do work with a lot of war gods. But I'm sure there's other war games or different things that you could do. Like if you work with a goddess of beauty, applying your makeup might be a good way to connect to them, you know? Think about that. Just incorporating that essence in your daily life. It doesn't necessarily have to be directly connecting to them, but connecting to energies that they connect to, if that makes sense. One thing a lot of gods really enjoy is you doing some volunteer work. Now that can be volunteering at an animal shelter, that can be volunteering to assist the elderly, or maybe you are on a death doula type path and you start volunteering at a hospice near you just to read stories to those who are on their deathbed because it brings them comfort in the final moments. You know, there's a lot of different things that you could do to honor different deities when it comes to reaching out to local, you know, local areas in your community where they might need someone like you to bring that little bit of energy, that little bit that of the gods and goddesses that you carry within you. That space might need that from you, and that's a really good way to honor them and to show, you know, the Puritans who don't realize how innocent paganism and witchcraft can be. You can kind of let them see the other side of that coin, if you get what I mean. Another thing that I like to do as someone who is both a witchy pagan as well as a Reiki master is I will send healing energy to deities, ancestors, trees that look a little sad, areas in the land where they've clearly, you know, the forestry company came through and deforested a space and you're just like, oh, and I gotta send my healing out. That's something that I think a lot more of us could be doing that maybe we don't realize that we can do. So I just thought that I would bring that up because I think it's really special, you know? Not all deities work with healing, but that doesn't mean that they don't need healing, you know? For example, Thor is big and strong, and he is the defender and protector, and he would be the type who would rather suffer in silence than ask for help. But that, to me, means that he deserves the help even more because he's over here helping all of us. Why don't we share that with him? So I like to send him Reiki a lot. And I also send Freya Reiki a lot personally because she does do a lot of healing, and being a healer requires healing, you know. You can only take on so much from others before you really need to let go yourself. And that's something that I'm learning myself. And, you know, I know Freya is obviously way more wise than I will ever dream to be, no matter how many lifetimes I live. But I do like to give her that healing because I know that she is there for a lot of us with that as well. And a lot of her healing is emotional healing, which is what I both struggle with but also try to help people with. So I kind of relate because I feel like maybe she's in a similar path. Obviously a much more divine version to that path, but I'm just saying. I do like to send her a lot of healing because as a healer, we need healing too. Now, I already talked about utilizing sound, but something that you could do beyond just singing or dancing or playing music is to deliberately have like a singing bowl and offer a cleansing to that deity, to that space in the woods, to that ancestor, and, you know, do your bowls or your tongs or whatever it is that you do. You could just use a shaman drum and just play out a rhythm that feels like the space needs it, you know, and just go for it. And that's something that can really make you feel connected. It will make you feel cleansed in the process of cleansing them because that's the way sound goes. It goes out everywhere. You know, if you can hear it, it's affecting you. And I think it's pretty cool. And I also really enjoy being able to use those instruments for more than just people. You know, a lot of people will talk about how amazing it felt when the bowl was being done over their body and all of this stuff. It's like, imagine doing that over a creek. And then that creek is carrying that energy through and dispersing all of that sound healing to the root systems of that space. You know what I mean? Like, you can really get into it and you can really help heal the hurt of the world if we just thought about those things. That's a lot of what our coven does, actually. Whenever we go anywhere, we try to heal the land of the space that we're in and try to spread that out as far as we can push it. And, you know, we're just one coven. We can't do it all. But I think if we all started thinking that way, started thinking about adding a healing energy to the spaces we navigate, regardless of what faith we practice and how we heal, the idea of healing a space and really clearing out that energy. I mean, think about all the stagnant energy that has been sticking around for centuries, all of the problematic stuff that just keeps repeating and we just don't understand why it's not going anywhere. Maybe we need to be spreading some more healing to the land. I kind of got off on a little tangent there, but sound healing is a really good way to do that because sound carries forever, you know, and especially if you include water. I find those two go really well together. Sound waves, water waves. I mean, think about it. It's pretty magical shit. Also, smoke cleansing. I was going to tie those in together because smoke gets carried by the wind, similarly to the way that waves of sound get carried through. Obviously, it's in the air and not in the ground, but that's kind of the point, right? So that way you can heal the root up to the treetops. And that's a metaphor, but could also be taken literally. And I do think it's really important to make sure that we are really extending that healing energy, you know, whether it be with a sound bowl, with a sage bundle, not white sage, but something that I like to do is I will take like purple sage or something like that and I will mix it with rosemary and lavender. And that's a really powerful herbal cocktail that you can burn and really just reset the energy of just about any space. Something that I really like about giving like an herbal bundle or an incense as an offering is not only can you just simply put it in a bonfire, but you could also just burn it at your altar and cleanse your home with it in the name of that deity, that ancestor, that land spirit that you connect to. And you get to share it with them. And I think that's pretty magical, sharing that herbal energy, that herbal magic with them. I think that's powerful shit. One thing that you are probably not going to be very surprised to hear about in this, you can give sex, like the act of sex, as an offering, or the orgasm itself, or all of it. You can give that as an offering to just about any deity, especially the Greek and the Norse pantheon. They love that shit. And that's really all that there is to it. You can also manifest with sex as an offering. Now, depending on the deity that you work with, something really, really genuine and amazing that you could do to sort of give back to the community as well as offer to this deity is to foster. Whether it be fostering pets or children, it's up to you. But that's something that you could do, and it does take a lot of time and energy and effort and funds in the long run. But if you are able to do it, it is a really, really wonderful thing that you can do. It doesn't require, you know, going out and buying a specific bottle of wine, but it is a lifetime commitment. And, you know, especially if you work with like parental deities like Thor or Frigga, for example, fostering a child in their honor, that just sounds so pure and so wonderful. And I hope that someday I'm in a place financially where maybe I can do that. Yeah, I just think that that's a really, really cool way, you know, especially if you are someone who is unable to have their own children, that is a really cool way for you to connect to parental deities, with taking on that parenthood, even though you didn't like birth that child. That is a very brave thing to do, and I think it is really powerful and, like I said, a very genuine gift for both the child, the deity, the community, just all of it. I think it is a really powerful act to go through and do. A really cool thing that you can also do is to build a space for them, the ancestor, deity, whoever. An outdoor space, whether that be just a plank of wood where you light candles sometimes when you go outside, you burn your incense there, or a special rock where you make like a cairn of rocks and you just kind of let them build. However that looks to you, you know, it doesn't have to be luxurious and grandiose and all of these big extra, you know, I spent $3,000 at the greenhouses to make this beautiful garden space for Freya. Like, you don't have to do that. If you can do that, cool. But honestly, just taking some space outdoors where you can really connect with them, that's a really cool thing. And like I said, it can just be you go to the base of this tree that reminds you of this uncle or whoever, and you just make that the outdoor space. And that's a really cool way to give back as well, is just connecting and making it known that you're like, hey, this is your space. If you want to connect to me, you can call me out here to this space and we'll chat. You know, and it's that simple. There's a lot of pressure online to go out and buy a bunch of shit to make your practice look valid because of aesthetics required online. Don't listen to that though. At the end of the day, what matters is your connections and how you feel about them. And nobody else's opinion on that matters but your own. Nobody's. This one might surprise you. And yes, I'm wearing pajama pants. This one might surprise you. But self-care. Self-care is a great offering that you can give. Especially, like for me, I work with Freya, but even if you work with like Medusa, Athena, like any goddess who is about taking your power back, or God. I find really the goddesses enjoy this, but a lot of gods would probably support it and be okay with it too. But this is a really good offering to give to your ancestors as well, because when you take care of yourself, you're taking care of them, because we are their lineage, we are their blood, we are the living source that is keeping the ancestors' names around. You know what I mean? Like, it's up to us to take care of the ancestors and how their energy still cycles through this realm. And it's an in-depth thing, and we'll talk about that more in the Three Souls series. But yeah, self-care is huge. Self-care is a great thing that you can do. You know, something that I like to do is, like, I'll color my hair as like a fun art project. And that's something that you can really just invite the goddesses in and all of that stuff and make it a ritual for yourself. It doesn't have to be just, oh, I'm putting hair dye on. I've got incense going, I'm listening to, you know, high vibrational music that is like just strings of affirmations in it, and I say these affirmations, I rub, you know, this product into my hair, and at the end of the day, it's a very magical thing that you just went through with these deities, you know? You open yourself up to those new ideas of making a ritual out of an old thing that used to be mundane, now it's magical, especially in regards of self-care. It can be a very, very powerful way to heal yourself. And when you heal yourself, you're able to do more work. And so that is kind of a big deal of why self-care is so important. Not just for your own good, but also because the deities are like, all right, you're ready to kick ass, let's go do it, you know? That's a really cool thing. And I like that I do work with deities who see it that way. And I hope you do too, because it's powerful. Like I said, just rubbing your face lotion in and being like, I am divine, I am blessed, I am enough, I am accepted. And you can just repeat those things to yourself as you're putting your makeup on and all of that stuff. And next thing you know, you're glowing from inside out. It's not just the highlighter. Like, you feel good inside too, you know? It's cool. We are about halfway through our list here. We've still got a ways to go. It's going to be a lot of editing work for me because I try not to make too long of videos, but this is a topic that I've been thinking about for a while, so I got a lot of ideas. One thing that I really like to do for the ancestors, I've been doing this since before I even like identified as a witch, just because it feels good. And you can do it for anybody, not just for your own personal ancestors. Like, for example, if you're at a graveyard or a cemetery, you can clean off their headstones and make sure that they're able to be read. Pulling away the weeds that are overgrowing them, dusting away the dirt. There's certain like products that you can use if they are so caked on with stuff to like wash that away. And there's really cool TikTokers out there who make videos of them like bringing respect to these really ancient stones, these really ancient headstones and things like that. And I just think that is so nice. And I mean, you can just feel that the ancestor in that space is just like, oh, thank you. You know? You could just feel that through the video, and I just think that's a powerful thing, and I just wanted to talk about that, especially with like Memorial Day coming up and all of that stuff. A lot of people are going to be at their ancestors' sites, so I thought that I would talk about that, because even if you don't have, you know, your uncle's favorite beer to bring, just being there and pulling the weeds and, you know, maybe put your hand on there and send him some healing, there you go. You just gave him a beautiful offering. It really is that simple. You don't have to overthink your offerings. They can be easy, tangible, just you're reaching out and you're connecting. That's the most important part. Like that's the base of all of this, if you haven't realized by now. The whole point of an offering is just to reach out and connect and to acknowledge that you see them, you feel them, you love them, and you appreciate them. And these are all different ways to show them that. So back to my list of ideas. Something that I've noticed, I just personally really enjoy doing as a form of self-care, but also as an offering, especially to Freya and Frigga, is to clean my house. And something that I've noticed, and it's kind of like a feng shui practice too, and so I think that's really neat. But something that I've noticed is that when I do this, it really, like when you clean with the idea of cleansing as you're cleaning, it makes way for a whole lot of new energy to find you. You know, for example, through the winter, some of our like recyclables that we had tossed out on the porch got frozen to the porch, and so until the thaw came, we just kind of had this stuff frozen on our deck. And so when we were finally able to bring our recycling down and get that energy out, a whoosh of blessings came in, because we finally were able to get that old energy, you know, away from our front door and really make room for new energy to find us. And it's really, really wild how that happens, but I think that's really special. I'm not trying to say like cleanliness is next to holiness or whatever like that, but I do find that when I clean with the intention of cleansing, especially in a way to like honor a god or goddess, like a home and hearth goddess like Frigga, like I said, you know, if you work with Brigid, it might be the same thing. When you really clean your home with them or for them, or a little bit of both, a shift happens. When you're really taking care of your home and you're giving that love to your home, you feel more love in your home, because your home is an energy of itself. And we'll talk about that later when we talk about egregores. But yeah, I just think that's really fucking cool. I love watching that happen. Like, I mopped my kitchen and I got $400. What? Because my insurance just randomly like sent me stuff. I mean, I also worked with my money bowl a little bit too. Like you know, I've been doing the work. But I'm just saying, like, it's really cool to watch how like little things like that just kind of stack up. That's what makes me so happy to be a witch. Here's another one that we got from Freya. Setting and respecting boundaries is a great way to honor a god, to honor your ancestors, to honor yourself specifically. But them too. Freya teaches me a lot about you know, don't do energy work for free because it takes from you. And if you don't get anything back, then you're just letting people continually take from you. And that's not okay. We don't need to be doing that, you know? So I at least need a donation to, you know, to do the energy exchange. And that's just one of the lessons that I've learned from her that are a little bit easier to talk about in an online open space. Definitely boundaries are a great offering and a healthy practice to have in general. Not just setting your own, but respecting others. And respecting your own. You know, don't fold your boundaries for your rotten ex who just keeps coming back, keeps coming back. Stop folding your boundaries. Set them bitches up and be like, these are my boundaries. Respect. You respect them, you respect me. You disrespect them, you disrespect me. It goes both ways. Set your boundaries. Now, if you are someone who works with death deities, like I do, I work with a lot of war and death gods, something that you can do is to take care of deceased wildlife. For example, one time we found a falcon that had been like dive bombing a critter in the road right as someone's truck came over the hill, and it broke its neck and it died instantly. And its body was still warm. It was really sad. But I took care of it, and the ground was frozen, and so I put it up somewhere where it wouldn't get disturbed or like chewed up or anything. And by the time that the ground thawed, we dug a hole for it and we buried it properly. And it's just little things like that where, you know, like, I'm giving back. I'm taking care of the animals around us, and that's a really good way to give back to death deities, to show that, like, even though there is no life in this creature, it still deserves respect because it did have life. That's a really powerful message to send to the universe, and to anybody around witnessing you send that message. Really. It's powerful. Do you work with Odin or Uller or any other wildlife deity, Freyr maybe? Something you can do to connect to them is to go hunting, to go fishing, to go foraging, and just really get out in nature, not just go outside and touch grass. Okay, touching grass is like basic witch shit. We're past touching grass. Okay, we lay in the moss. Alright, we are over here becoming one with the mushy friends, our little mushroom friends. We're like, oh hello, I am also a mushroom. Let me sit here and be spores and porous and just enjoy this forest. Yes. We are past just touching grass. We are going out. We are being wild. We are being heathens. We're getting our hands dirty. We don't wear gloves when we garden. We want to feel the dirt. That can all be an offering. Everything I just said, including rolling around in the moss. Yep, that's an offering. You can do that. It counts. Embrace your inner heathen. Get out there. Get wild. Have fun. Fuck shit up. Don't fuck shit up. Be respectful to shit. In the woods. Scare the humans, though. Fear us, muggles. Fear us. This is probably my most common offering form of connection, so to speak, is meditating. And it's not always just, oh. Sometimes it's really taking the time to sort through the thousand thoughts that have been rolling through your head and really allowing them to have space, and then digesting these thoughts and doing something about them. It's that simple, because sometimes some of these random thoughts that keep racing through our heads are downloads that we haven't processed yet. And so it's really important to sit and meditate and be with our thoughts so we can connect, so we can receive our messages, and so we can keep going. You know, you ask for a sign, but then you don't stop to acknowledge the signs and process them. What good is the sign going to do you? You need to have that time to sit and meditate so you can keep going on your path. Crucial. If you take only one thing away from this video, it's please meditate. And it's not always sitting and clearing your thoughts. Sometimes it's just allowing yourself to actually have thoughts, because society is fucked up and wants us to be brainless zombies. No. We are thoughtful and awake and opinionated human beings. And that means we take time to meditate. Okay, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now I know I already said to go outside, okay? To go play outside and be wild and be a heathen and blah blah blah. Sometimes we can't go outside though, and we still need to take time to ground. And sometimes grounding in itself can be a way to connect. One of the very grounding deities that I know always helps me when I'm like really struggling with like panic, anxiety or whatever, I call it to Thor. And it's really funny because you don't think of him as like a grounding deity, right? Because he's very much like Sky Daddy energy. You know, he brings the rain and the storms and the hail and all of that shit. Well, I don't really know if he brings the hail, but I feel like probably sometimes when he's mad, you know, he'll be like, fuck y'all, here's some hail. Go cleanse yourself, bitches. I really find that Thor is very grounding, and I know that I'm not the only one who thinks that. I know of a lot of pagans who think that, actually. Don't call to Loki when you're trying to ground. I feel like it's kind of obvious, but I felt the need to say it. Don't do that. He will amplify the chaos. He will. Sometimes I give him an offering just to be like, hey, I acknowledge you. Can you leave me alone? But don't call him for grounding, though. But if you want to give him an offering to just be like, hey, I'm going to give you some grounding energy because you need to chill, then that might work out. So it kind of depends, but definitely take some time to ground. And grounding is a really basic thing, but it's also something that people get overwhelmed about. So perhaps we will do a topic on grounding specifically later. If that's something that you guys would like to hear me talk about, let me know. Now, remember when I talked about reaching out to your community and how you can help your community with fostering or spending time at an elderly home or something like that? Something else you can do is just simply spending time with your loved ones. Making deliberate time for just you and your son. No phones unless their cameras are on because you want to take your pictures. But like no Instagram, no TikTok. Just going out, exploring the woods. It doesn't have to be like you spend a whole bunch of money to go to like Cedar Point or something. Like it doesn't have to be a big extravagant thing. You can just take time cooking dinner together and just being like, you know, this is what happens when you put, you know, a pan of water over fire. It gets hot and it cooks our food for us. Little things like that are a good way to both honor parental deities and just to honor your ancestors because you gave life to this little lineage, as you yourself are also little lineage. And so it's an important thing to just keep that connection going throughout your family. And I don't just mean your kids, because you can also, you know, be a kid yourself, hanging out with your grandparents, because that's lineage bonding. It's important stuff, and it's a great way to give back to the ancestors because they would kill to be doing what you're doing, sitting with your grandma. They miss your grandma so much. Your grandma is their baby. Spend time with your grandma. Or, you know, whoever you got. I don't know what your family life is like, and I'm sorry if your family life is a little quiet. I understand what that's like, and I'm sending you love. I encourage you to spend time with those who feel like family if your family life is a little quiet. Get loud with those who bring you the love that you wished you had with your family. That is my advice to you. That's a really good way to connect to, like I said, the ancestors and the gods. Just all of them. All of them. All the time. Anything and everything. All of the time. My camera just died, so let's bust out these last two real quick, alright? Okay, we already kind of talked about creating a sacred space for them, but something else that you could do besides just like building a sacred space, whether it be an altar indoors or outdoors, kind of like we already talked about, you could straight up make an art piece for them. I know of a lot of people who don't have the money to go buy the really expensive deity statues like you see right here behind me, this awesome one of hell. Not everybody can afford that, and that's okay. It took me a long time to be able to get these, and that's fine. But something that you can do is you can make a painting in their likeness of how you see them when you meditate and you connect. And you can use that in place of an idol. Or, you know, you can carve one out of wood. Or you can, you know, find a stone and you're like, wow, this stone looks kind of like a fiery rock. Like I'm going to put a Keenaz on it and this is my Loki rock now. It's that simple. Just having some sort of like I made it and it makes me think of them when I look at it type of item is a really cool thing to do, and it gives you this awesome piece for your altar that you put your energy on for them. Like it's a really cool way to connect, to create something for them. I just love it. It's one of my favorite things about witchcraft is getting crafty. So that's definitely something that I'd advise you to do. It's a lot of fun. Last but not least, number 20. We've gone through 20 things so far. Crazy. But last but not least is to rest. To take time to sleep. To take time to really relax and just watch movies and be a vegetable on the couch for a little bit. And not push yourself too hard to create, or work, whatever your job is. Go to work, come home, take care of the kids, cook the dinner, clean the house, go to bed. Like actually taking time to just, I'm not doing shit. We are microwaving our dinner today and I am relaxing and I'm gonna bathe in the sun. I'm not gonna pull a single weed out of the garden. It is a me day. Be selfish, especially my mamas out there, because a lot of times moms take care of themselves last, if at all. And I'm telling you, Freya said it's okay. So it's okay. You can sit back, relax, unwind a little bit, binge The Witcher. It's really funny. Okay, every time he goes, fuck, I die. Okay, it is I'm not even guilty about it. Fuck feeling guilty about anything that makes me feel good. Take your time, rest, binge show, whatever the fuck you want. Go watch Game of Thrones for the 1800th time. Nobody cares. It's a really good show. You're spending your time wisely. I promise. It's okay. You don't always have to be hustling and grinding in order to deserve your rest either. If you've been really stressed out and in survival mode, you still deserve your rest. Even if you haven't accomplished what you you think you need to in order to rest. You don't need to accomplish shit to deserve rest. You being alive and functioning, however that looks for you, means that you deserve to rest, period. And I'm not saying like rest all the time, but I know that a lot of us take time or struggle to take time to rest at all. That is my last note for you guys here on this video. I will see you next Woden's Day. I don't know what I'm going to talk about in the next video. I'm just kind of winging it at this point. Every time I try to plan something, the gods are like, actually chaos, and shit goes awry. So I'll see you in the next video. I don't know what it'll be, but we're gonna have fun. Thanks for watching. Stay weird. Love and peace. Subscribe, share with your friends if you haven't already. You know, all of that cheesy self-promo stuff. I have a Patreon if you're interested. Okay, bye. Hey Coven, it's been a while since we talked like this. Let me check. Okay, our lighting is not the best. Let me adjust just a little bit because we got a little bit of natural light coming in over there, and I want to like bank on that. That good old Mountain Dew. 10 points if you got the reference. We just became best friends, and these are really good offerings. Be quiet! Is you can give sex, the act of sex, as an orgasm.